The FBI director, as you know, is supposed to be an apolitical job. CNN is reporting this afternoon that Trump is now weighing firing Christopher Wray, bringing in a loyalist of his, Kash Patel, someone who's actually threatened to go after some of Trump's critics.
You might be thinking that after nominating RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Matt Gaetz, and a Fox News host, that Donald Trump has finally run out of terrible candidates for high office. Except unfortunately, it's being reported that he's about to appoint as the director of the FBI a true MAGA psycho named Kash Patel, who has repeatedly, publicly on camera, threatened to prosecute Donald Trump's critics, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several clips to talk about in this video, but there are a lot of people out there who have been insisting since before the election that all those times that Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to investigate and prosecute his political opponents, his political rivals, his critics, the media, liberals, progressives, and people he just doesn't like, that was all rhetoric. And you can't take it literally. You can't even take it seriously. You just need to chill out. Now, of course, even if it was just rhetoric, that was a profoundly stupid argument to make, and one that the people making that argument would never accept if the shoe was on the other foot. So you should just dismiss it out of hand. They would never accept it if a Democrat ever said the sorts of things that Donald Trump has said. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be just rhetoric. I mean, it wasn't just rhetoric in the first Trump administration. Trump repeatedly went after his political opponents, and he's making moves and taking steps to indicate he's going to be even more serious about it in his second administration. So here we go. News that Kash Patel might be the director of the FBI.
Sometimes that can be very interesting.
I want to get your thoughts about what Trump is thinking about doing with the DOJ, the FBI. The FBI director, as you know, is supposed to be an apolitical job. CNN is reporting this afternoon that Trump is now weighing firing Christopher Wray, bringing in a loyalist of his, Kash Patel, someone who's actually threatened to go after some of Trump's critics. Would you be okay if Trump fired Christopher Wray and replaced him with someone like Kash Patel who could target Trump's foes? Would you be comfortable with that?
So he's asking, that's Manu Raju from CNN asking a Republican senator named Mike Rounds about that. And we're not going to play the full clip because he goes on to say he likes Christopher Wray, who again was appointed to the position of FBI director by Donald Trump. But, you know, he doesn't know much about Kash Patel. And if Trump nominates Kash Patel, we just got to let the process play out. Except again, Kash Patel has been repeatedly caught on camera. I mean, he's not even caught. He's volunteered it. And we'll play some of the clips threatening to go after, in the most vicious and bloodthirsty way, Trump critics. And CNN is reporting that Trump is on the verge, on the cusp of nominating Kash Patel to be the director of the FBI. Trump allies lobby him to fire FBI director early and install loyalist Kash Patel. Trump is weighing a push from right-wing allies to nominate Kash Patel to lead the FBI, one of the clearest indications that the president-elect plans to stick by his vow to fire Christopher Wray before his 10-year term ends and replace him with a loyalist. The interest in Patel, after selecting Gaetz for Attorney General and Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, speaks to Trump's urge to fill up top law enforcement and intelligence positions with reporters who may be open to carrying out his demands for specific investigations, as well as inoculating the president against future investigations. Trump has harbored bitterness over his experience navigating a special counsel during his first term, followed by the 4 criminal indictments he faced after leaving office. The wrangling for premier positions in the next Trump administration has continued at Mar-a-Lago, and other names in the mix for the FBI's top spot include former Republican Representative Mike Rogers, former acting commissioner of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Mark Morgan, and Jeff Jensen, a former St. Louis attorney who led a review of General Mike Flynn's guilty plea, which led to the dismissal of the case. Even among Trump loyalists, Patel is widely viewed as a controversial figure and a relentless self-promoter whose value largely derives from a shared disdain for the so-called deep state. While sources said he's been lobbying for the FBI position, including speaking to Trump directly about a position in the administration, he also pushed for the role of CIA director, which ultimately went to John Ratcliffe. So that's the context for this. Now, let's look at some of the things that Kash Patel... Actually, let me play this too. Okay, this is Steve Bannon, who also features in the next clip we're going to play of Kash Patel making some seriously unhinged threats. This is Steve Bannon predicting that Kash Patel would be made director or have, I think it's director of FBI in this clip, but certainly have a high-ranking position in the Trump administration.
Must make sure we're having inroads, folks, but we have not seized the institution. 202-224-3121 I just want the audience to know your impact. Right now, it's being reported not by the War Room. We're repeating what other news sources are saying. It looks like Kash Patel may be the new director of the FBI, and Tulsi Gabbard may be the new head of DNI.
So this was several days ago, because by that, at the time of this recording, the recording that we're engaging in right now, Tulsi Gabbard has been nominated to be the director of national intelligence for days. So this is a days old clip from Steve Bannon about rumors that Kash Patel would be director of the FBI. So now let's get to the juicy and scary stuff. And we actually talked about this video. I think it was last year, this clip. We did a video about this, but this is Steve Bannon, a top Trump advisor, and Kash Patel, a top Trump loyalist and advisor, and potential future director of the nation's most powerful law enforcement agency, talking about prosecuting Trump critics and Trump enemies.
Do you feel highly confident that when you go back and as a senior member of this administration, President Trump's administration, starting in the afternoon of the 20th of January of 2025, do you feel confident that you will be able to deliver the goods, that we can have serious prosecutions and accountability? And I want the Morning Joe producers that watch us and all the producers that watch us, this is just not rhetoric. We're absolutely dead serious. We're not. You cannot have a constitutional republic and allow what these deep staters have done to the country. The deep state, the administrative state, the fourth branch of government never mentioned in the Constitution, is going to be taken apart brick by brick. And the people that did these evil deeds will be held accountable and prosecuted, criminal prosecutions. Kash, I know you're probably going to be head of the CIA. But do you believe that you can deliver the goods on this in a pretty short order the first couple of months so we can get rolling on prosecutions?
Yes, we got the bench for it, Bannon, and you know those guys. I'm not going to go out there and say their names right now so the radical left-wing media can terrorize them. But, excuse me, the one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go-around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. And the one thing we will do that they never will do is we will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics and actually issuing them as lawfare. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators, because we're actually going to use the Constitution to prosecute them for crimes they said we have always been guilty of, but never have.
So pretty unhinged, right? Obviously a conspiracy theorist, obviously somebody who thinks that the 2020 election was stolen. He thinks that anybody who participated in rigging that stolen election, which was obviously a free and fair election that Donald Trump just happened to lose, would be prosecutable. And he's even talking about members of the media. Seems pretty fascistic to me, pretty dangerous. And again, this guy, according to reporting, is, very, very likely to become the director of the FBI. And based on the current trajectory of Trump nominees, I wouldn't rule it out. It's not like he's picking sane candidates, right? Marco Rubio was the sanest and most qualified of the candidates, the major candidates that Trump has proffered thus far. And it's been on a downhill trajectory ever since. There's another good write-up about Kash Patel in The Atlantic, which I want us to take a look at here. Kash Patel was dangerous. On this, both Trump appointees and career officials could agree. A 40-year-old lawyer with little government experience, he joined the administration in 2019 and rose rapidly. Each new title set off new alarms. When Patel was installed as chief of staff to the acting secretary of defense just after the 2020 election, Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, advised him not to break the law in order to keep Trump in power. Quote, life looks really shitty from behind bars, end quote, Milley reportedly told Patel. Patel denies this. When Trump entertained naming Patel deputy director of the FBI, Attorney General Bill Barr confronted the White House chief of staff and said, quote, over my dead body, end quote. When in the final weeks of the administration, Trump planned to name Patel deputy director of the CIA, Gina Haspel, the agency's head, threatened to resign. Trump relented only after an intervention by Vice President Mike Pence and others. Who was this man and why did so many top officials fear him? It wasn't a question of ideology. He wasn't a zealot like Stephen Miller trying to make the bureaucracy yield his agenda. Rather, Patel appeared singularly focused on pleasing Trump. Even in an administration full of loyalists, Patel was exceptional in his devotion. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this article mentions it because I can't remember, but Patel, oh my God, I should have had this off. Patel actually wrote children's books about Donald Trump, propagandizing children. Yeah. So this is what seemed to disturb many of his colleagues the most. Patel was dangerous, several of them told me, not because of a certain plan he would be poised to carry out if given control of the CIA or FBI, but because he appeared to have no plan at all. His priorities today, always a subject to a mercurial president's wishes tomorrow. Patel disputes this characterization. What wouldn't a person like that do if asked? Most Americans had no idea Patel existed, yet rarely a day passed when administration leaders weren't reminded that he did. In a year and 8 months, they watched Patel leapfrog from the National Security Council, where he became senior counterterrorism director, to the Office of Director of National Intelligence, where he was a principal deputy to the acting director, to the Department of Defense, where his influence rivaled that of the acting secretary himself. But in the officials' warnings about the various catastrophic ways the rise of an inexperienced lackey to the highest levels of government might end, all Patel seemed to detect was the panic of a, quote, deep state, end quote, that was about to be exposed. Such officials understood, as Patel later wrote, that he, quote, wouldn't sit quietly and accept their actions to stonewall direct orders from the president, end quote. Patel was ultimately denied a role at the pinnacle of the national security establishment, but Trump has promised to learn from his mistakes. Should he return to the White House? Now, obviously, this was written a few months ago. He is returning to the White House. There will be no Millies, Haspels, or even Barrs to restrain him as he seeks revenge against his political enemies. Instead, there will be Patels, whose true faith and allegiance belong not to a nation, but to one man. Get ready, Kash, Trump said before a gala of young Republicans this past December. Get ready. And it goes on like this. It's a really good expose. As a matter of fact, I'm curious if they list the book. Oh, this is it. And in The Plot Against the King, a children's book, Patel tells the story of a wizard named Kash who sets out to save King Donald from the sinister machinations of Hillary Clinton. Get it? And a shifty knight, a reference to Adam Schiff. Head over to fightwithcash.com, and for a special low offer of $19.99, one can purchase playing cards featuring the story's characters. The king card belongs to Kash, the distinguished wizard and corruption combatant. This is the guy that we're talking about, folks, who might become director of the FBI. And there, again, already disturbing signs that Trump meant what he said in terms of all that unhinged fascistic rhetoric, which, again, even if he didn't, would be disqualifying because presidential candidates shouldn't talk like that, Democrat or Republican. It's insane that we, grade Trump on a curve. It's irrational. It's stupid. It's dangerous. But there are signs already, long before Trump becomes president, that he is leaning towards actually following through on his threats. And making Matt Gaetz Attorney General is one step in that direction. Making Kash Patel the director of the FBI would be another leap forward. God help us. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.